Once seen as a rising star with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Shiloh was fighting for recognition in the league, clawing for every snap and every chance to prove himself. He was the son of NFL royalty, Deion "Primetime" Sanders, and expectations had been sky high from the moment he put on pads. This was supposed to be the season where he made the leap, where he shook off the third-string safety label and showed coaches and fans that he belonged. But instead, in one reckless instant, his career came crashing down. It happened during a preseason matchup against the Buffalo Bills, a game that was supposed to be just another step toward earning a roster spot. Early in the second half, Shiloh got tangled up in a block with Davidson. The cameras caught it all. Davidson's massive frame bent forward. Suddenly, his fingers were hooked inside Shiloh's face mask, yanking his head backward. It was an ugly, borderline dirty move that had Shiloh seeing red. Instead of shrugging it off or waiting for the whistle, Shiloh lashed out. He reared back and threw an open-handed strike, some calling it a slap, others a punch, straight at Davidson's helmet. It wasn't going to do much damage against a man with that kind of protection. But it was symbolic, a flash of frustration boiling over into violence. And standing just a few yards away, an official saw everything. The flag came out immediately. Unnecessary roughness. Ejection, in the blink of an eye. The opportunity Shiloh had been chasing slipped away, but what made it worse was the context. Davidson's face mask grab went unpunished. Despite replay footage clearly showing his fingers tugging inside the helmet, the referees didn't throw a flag. Only Shiloh was penalized. Only Shiloh was escorted off the field. And for a player who had already been warned earlier in the game for another mistake, the officials had no hesitation in tossing him. To them, it wasn't just about one swing. It was about a pattern, a lack of control. What might have been a minor skirmish for another player became a defining moment for Shiloh Sanders. The Buccaneers wasted no time in disciplining him. A fine came down. A public statement condemned his actions, and whispers spread across the league that this wasn't just a bad play, it was the end of his NFL road. Soon after, reports surfaced that the NFL itself had banned him, effectively shutting the door on a career before it had even properly begun. For Shiloh, it was devastating. For fans, it was shocking. And for his father, Deion Sanders, it was heartbreaking. Deion, a legend of the game and now a coach himself, didn't shy away from the moment. He admitted he was disappointed, but he made it clear his pride in his son hadn't wavered. "We're praying for another NFL shot," he said in a statement. But he also added something more, something deeper. Shiloh wasn't just a football player. He was talented beyond the field, skilled in music, modeling, and other pursuits. Football may have slipped through his fingers, but life had given him other gifts to fall back on. And as Deion put it, well, the Sanders are going to be straight, with or without football. The Buccaneers head coach, Todd Bowles, also spoke on the incident, his words firm but fair. "You can't throw punches in this league," he said. "They're going to get you every time. You've got to grow from that." It wasn't just about the act itself, but the lesson behind it. The NFL is a league built on discipline, where emotions must be controlled even in the most high-pressured moments. Bowles' message was clear. One lapse could cost you everything. And for Shiloh it had. Analysts across the sports world chimed in, none more prominently than Shannon Sharpe. The Hall of Famer and outspoken commentator didn't hide his disappointment. "This was a mistake that could have been avoided," he said. "When you're fighting for a roster spot, you cannot afford to lose control like that. It doesn't matter who you are, Shiloh, Sanders, or anybody else. The league won't tolerate it." His words echoed what so many fans were already thinking. For a player on the edge of making it, this was the one mistake you couldn't make. And yet, amid all the criticism, some argued the punishment was too harsh. After all, Davidson had initiated contact by yanking at Shiloh's face mask. Shouldn't that have been flagged too? Shouldn't the refs have acknowledged the provocation? But that's the harsh truth of football. Retaliation always gets the spotlight. The instigator often escapes unnoticed, while the one who reacts pays the price. And Shiloh learned that in the most painful way possible. For his part, Shiloh didn't run from responsibility. In the days after the incident, he released a statement that revealed both humility and resolve. "I've been talking to my agent, and we're waiting on the next opportunity," he said. If that's in the NFL, cool. But God's blessed me with a lot of talents to do other things. He spoke about growing up, about realizing that every athlete eventually faces a crossroads. His words weren't those of a man in denial. They were the words of someone coming to terms with the gravity of his mistake, but also determined not to let it define his entire life. He admitted it was a learning experience, a painful but pivotal one. In every athlete's life, there comes a point where you have to grow up and do things on your own, he said. For Shiloh, that point came earlier than expected. He understood the reality. His NFL dream may be over, but his future isn't. God has blessed me with a lot of talent to do things other than football, he reminded the world. It was a moment of maturity. A signal that even though the NFL had shut the door, he wasn't ready to give up on himself. Music, modeling, entertainment, those doors were still wide open. And with the backing of a family as resilient as the Sanders clan, Shiloh would not be left without options. But make no mistake, the sting of that moment lingers. The image of him being escorted off the field, the disbelief on fans' faces, the sound of analysts shaking their heads, all of it will follow him for years. The lesson is clear. In the NFL, control is everything. You can't let emotions dictate actions, because one swing, one mistake, can cost you your future. The story of Shiloh Sanders is a cautionary tale. It's about the fine line players walk between passion and recklessness, between fire and fury. It's about how quickly opportunity can slip away, even for someone with a legendary last name. But it's also about resilience. It's about a young man refusing to let one bad moment define his life. Shiloh's journey isn't over. Whether he ever steps onto an NFL field again remains uncertain, but one thing is for sure, he's not giving up. And maybe, just maybe, this painful chapter will become the fuel that drives him to succeed elsewhere, to carve out a legacy beyond football, proving that a single mistake doesn't have to be the end of the story. For now, the NFL has moved on. Teams are preparing for the season, rookies are fighting for spots, and the game continues without him. But Shiloh Sanders' name is still being talked about, not for his plays on the field, for the lesson his downfall represents. Discipline matters. Emotional control matters. And in this league, the smallest mistake can echo louder than all your potential. So the question remains, will Shiloh Sanders rise again? Or has the NFL chapter of his story been written in full? Only time will tell. What's certain is that the Sanders family isn't backing down, and neither is Shiloh. He's still young, still talented, and still searching for his place in the world. Whether it's in football, music, or something entirely different. The story of Shiloh Sanders is far from over, and now it's over to you. Do you think Shiloh deserves another chance in the NFL? Was the league too harsh in its punishment? Or was it a fair outcome for his actions? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.